Hi everyone, it's Leilani. Welcome back to my channel. So today, friends, it is time to add a few more stories into my October daily. I'm super excited about that. We are going to be adding the next 3 in, and these 3 will complete my first week of October. So actually, whenever I did my first video, which I will link below if you haven't had a chance to check that one out yet, but whenever I was doing that video, I actually already had the next couple stories planned out. I just had to end up doing something else. I had to leave the craft room. So I worked on just this one particular page that I'm doing right now. And then I'm going to come back and work on the other ones later if you notice like a change in anything. But anyway, so this story is all about, obviously, my 2 babies, Penny and Poppy, in their really cute matching Halloween sweaters. So actually, Mono, my parents' dog, he's a really big boy and he's a big sweet teddy bear. He already had this same Halloween sweater, and then we saw them at Target that they had more of them. I feel like he's had his for like several years, but anyways, the same exact sweater was there. So I ended up grabbing one for both of my babies because I thought it would be so cute if I could get a picture of all 3 of them together. I don't know if I will, but I think it's cute that they have matching sweaters regardless. Maybe I can at least get a picture of Mono and his to put in here somewhere. But you know, the mood was right the other day whenever Will was home, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to throw the girls in their sweaters, and I was able to get a few pictures of them on the bed. So of course I had to add them into October Daily. So what I did was, on the back of my previous story about the outdoor decorations, I just added this big spooky title. This title is from obviously the Simple Stories Spooky Things collection, but it's from like that pack that's called like, I don't know, like layout starters or something, and it comes with like a big title and a few die cuts and things where you're supposed to be able to put like a 12 by 12 layout together or whatever. So anyways, I just printed off that picture big, added that big title, added my journaling, my typed journaling straight on the sticker paper, and I'll come back, and I'm kind of working on these pages out of order. So anyway, I'm sorry that I switched that so quickly, but that page was super easy. But I am going to do a little like additional couple pictures and stuff that's going to go with that one. But first, we're going to skip ahead to the next story, and it's all about mine and Will's game night. So I'm going to work on a little bit of this, and then I'll go back to that one, and then I'll work on this one. You know, you get the idea. So for this layout, I was kind of inspired to do a circle theme because one of the pieces of ephemera from the game that we played was that like Holt's beer and ale. It looks like a little coaster. So I was kind of inspired by that circle, and I thought, okay, I'm going to print off my photos, grab a bunch of the ephemera from the game that we played, and then I'm going to cut everything out into circles. And I knew that I had some brads that I had bought for December daily at one point. So I grab out the brads. They're just these gold brads. I just got them off of Amazon. I just looked up gold brads and grabbed these. And then I have this little paper piercer here. So I'm going to add the brads and just have like a cute little booklet kind of thing of a lot of the pictures and things from our game night. So as I'm assembling this, I'll tell you a bit about our night. So during October, I always like to plan themed nights for me and Will so that we like have something to look forward to, so that we have like, we make sure, I like to be really intentional. So I like to make sure that I have things planned so that we aren't just wasting away the month. So I made sure to buy us all of our stuff to make a charcuterie board. So we love charcuterie, especially during like the holiday times. So it's been really fun the last couple years to make a charcuterie board. And I feel like the charcuterie works really well for the game night, because then we can just kind of like easily make up our big board of yummy stuff to eat, and then we can play our game and just kind of pick at the board and all that kind of stuff. So that's exactly what we did for our game. This is the 3rd year that we've done this, and we played a hunt a killer game. So I don't know if y'all have played those before, but I was always really intrigued by those. It's essentially like a murder mystery that you are solving through like a board game. So they give you all types of things to create a story. So this one was called Death at the Dive Bar. So you receive like a letter and suspects and all kinds of things. So you figure out the lore, you figure out the story, and there's all types of clues. Sometimes you have to solve like different codes, so then you can figure out secret messages. messages. This one had a hidden number where you could really call the number, and we heard like the lady whose number it was, we heard her message, like a answering machine, all kinds of really fun little things. And this one this year I liked a lot more. Last year we played Murder at the Motel, and we didn't like that one as much. This one was more fun. So we had a great time. It's a really good fun activity to do, like as a couple, or I'm sure as a family would be fun if you had kids. I think it's like 14 plus is what's suggested. And this one was easy. It was an easy game. I can't even imagine the harder ones because the codes that we had to figure out like took us forever, but maybe that's just us. But it did take us a while to figure them out, but we did figure them out. We did crack the case. So maybe that's why it's easy, because we did end up cracking the case. But it was really fun, and it's a great thing to do where you are off your phones for a while and you have to be really like interactive with each other. So we had a great time doing that. And one thing that I love, if you didn't want to kind of gift the game, you can only play it once because you're going to know the answer, but you could definitely give the entire game to someone else to play after you. But if you're like me, you would rather keep all of the ephemera to add into your October daily. So that's exactly what I do. And then I'm left with all kinds of fun ephemera to put into my October daily every year, which I love. So, before I continue about our night, these were my other two pictures of the dogs, obviously. So I thought that I'd already printed them off, and I knew that I wanted to add them on here. So what I ended up doing was I grabbed a piece of, like clear transparency. So I was just trying to change it up a little bit and make like a transparent page. So what I did was I just printed off these pictures of the doggies, cut them out. I added a little bit of pattern paper around the outside of the photos just to give it a border and make it cuter, give it a little pop of color. Then I'm going ahead and cutting out another piece of paper. This orange paper is actually going to go on the back of these photos, and it's going to be the base of my next story about game night, and that's where I'm going to put my title and where I'm going to put my journaling about game night. So you're going to see me adhere all of that down and everything. I'm going to use a few of these tags just as cute little embellishments and all of that. So as I'm putting that together, I will continue to chat with you about our game night. So all of that was super fun. I highly suggest the Hunt to Killer games. I think that they're really a good time. Some of them are definitely better than others, but I have really enjoyed just the time spent together for all three of them. And it's definitely become a tradition that I really look forward to. Something different, it's a fun like at-home game night. So besides that, what we also did was I wanted to watch something together, but we weren't really in like a movie mood, and we just had these little pockets of time throughout the day, like a little bit before the game, a little bit after the game, that sort of thing. So I knew that this year I wanted to watch some classic like Halloween cartoons and stuff. So what we ended up watching was a bunch of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes. So Will had seen a couple of those. He is a Simpsons fan, but we don't like stay up to date on the Simpsons or anything. But we watched the first 7 Treehouse of Horror episodes, and they were so fun. And they were still very like nostalgic and 90s themed. Like in the last one that we watched, that must have been in season 7 or 8, the aliens from The Simpsons, they abducted like Bill Clinton and Bob Dole in that episode. So, it's very like topical and very of the time. I think that one was in like 96 or something. So we had a lot of fun watching those. And so I mentioned that because that was also a huge part of our night. And whenever you see the little circle photo books that I made, there's going to be some different Simpsons photos. So I just went on to Google, of course. I saved a few of my favorite Treehouse of Horror images, and then I added those in as well. So you'll see that as we go. So here I just added a couple little tags just for a bit of additional interest on those photos. So I'm going to do the same thing on the back. So you see I just flipped the transparency over, and then I'm going to cover all of those spots with my tags, and then also with those orange pieces of paper that I already cut out. And then I will add my title and my journaling about game night to this one. So love the way that turned out, and it's just something a little bit different. I am going to start to pull out some pockets, and I use a little pocket in the next story that we're going to work on in this video, which really does help make things easy. And I do like the mixture of pockets mixed in with things outside of the pocket. So I definitely am going to be using pockets throughout, but I thought that the transparent page just made it a little bit different. Like I totally could have just put all of these things into like a couple 3x4 pockets, and that would have still looked really, really cute. But I just wanted to change it up a little bit and add a transparent page, and I had fun putting it together. So here I'm just putting everything into place. Now I'd already printed off this journaling like the day before whenever I was working on the other pages that you've already seen in the previous video. So one of the little paragraphs is about game night and one is about watching The Simpsons, because in my mind, I thought maybe I was going to make two different layouts about those two things. But once I decided to do the little photo book, I thought, well, it makes more sense to just add The Simpsons photos into the photo book. So I end up just adding those two paragraphs together. So the journaling doesn't necessarily go together, but it was the same night and it tells the story fine. So it works out for me. I added it all onto that lower little orange card that I cut out. And now I am going to use that same Honey and Spice alphabet stamp set from Heidi Swapp. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to stamp out a game night with an exclamation, I think, and then I'm going to adhere that to the top one up there and add my date and all that kind of stuff. The one thing about the stamp set, I have a newer stamp pad, so I use the Memento black ink just as my standard black, and it is a newer pad, so it's really juicy. So this stamp set, since it is like distressed sort of. That's how it's supposed to look. So sometimes the ink, it just gets overwhelming and you can't quite make out the letter. So usually if I'm re-stamping the letter twice, that's why. So it just gets a little gunked up in there. So I'll just stamp it again. And then here, sometimes I'm going to do like super fast speed just so that you can still see me do whatever the thing is, but it doesn't take me all day long. So here I'm going to adhere down my game night. Also, I'm using that same little glue pen that I love. So I'm adhering that down, and then I'm going to add a little label with the date. And then I couldn't fit this exclamation, so I'm going to add it onto that label. So you're going to see that in a second. But I really love the way that looks, where it's just kind of floating in the middle of the spread. I may try to do that again at some point later in my album, just to have like a cohesion of like a transparent page like towards the beginning and then a transparent page towards the end or something, because I really do love the way that looks. And I've added those a few other times in both October daily and December daily, and I always really like the way a transparent page ends up looking. So there I added my date. So this one, game night was on the 5th, on that Sunday. So I added that in. I'm going to add a few little stickers, of course. A lot of these stickers, they are so cute, but I haven't had a lot of use for like larger stickers yet. So I don't know. Hopefully I can get some of them used, because I do have 3 of those 12x12 sticker sheets. But if not, I'll just save them for another day. But maybe I'll have a place to add a little bit bigger stickers as we go. So then I decided to flip it over, and I thought maybe I could add a couple other embellishments over here to this side. I love those tiny phrases. So this one says Spooky Squad, I think. Yeah, how cute is that? So I add that on with a little gold star. And then I remembered that I had this pack of like thicker embellishments. So there's like some chipboard and these like brad looking things. So I pulled these out and I noticed that there was a boo that's in the same font as the spooky. So I thought maybe I would add that on here to this second page. And whenever I'm holding it there, I don't think that looks bad, but I didn't end up using it. I thought I might be overdoing it, but I did add a little brad into like where the hole would go for both of those tags, which I thought was pretty cute. And so over here, instead of adding another brad, because I didn't want it to get too like chunky and, raised, I end up just putting a little enamel dot into the circle, and they're kind of recessed down in there. So I felt like that worked nicely, but gave it a little something. And then I'm going to work on my game night page. So I already constructed this particular circle with my photos. But after I was setting it down, I thought, well, there really needs to be like 2 of these circles, because I felt like it looked a little small. The circle looked a little small if I only added that one. So I thought, well, I have a few other things cut out here from the ephemera from the game. So then I turned the camera off for a minute and I went and printed off a few other pictures. So I'm going to cut those out. This coaster is perfect for being a little template because, it's a little thick. It's like, it actually feels like a coaster that you would grab from like a bar or something. That's something that I love about the Hunt to Killer games because the ephemera is like real. So I'm sure I've mentioned this before in a previous video, but like if it's a key card to a hotel, it really feels like a key card to a hotel. If it's a receipt, it's really like in receipt paper. If it's a newspaper, it really is like, feels like it's from a newspaper. So I love that. Just like a little added touch, So here I printed off this picture of me and Will, which is actually another picture from the one of the selfies that I put on the outdoor decorations, because although we'd already put the decorations up like a while before then, I didn't have a picture of us to go with it. So on game night, we stepped outside and we took a couple selfies where all the lights were. But as I mentioned before, the lights were like so crazy that it didn't translate when I tried to print the photo off. They just didn't look very good. So I turned them into black and white. So I just thought, well, it's a different photo, so I'll add it here on game night. But you're going to see that as I'm assembling my other photos and ephemera, whenever I get that picture onto the back and you try to swivel it, like Will's entire face is like completely hidden. So it's hidden behind the Brad. And so I don't love that at all. And I already didn't love the picture because it didn't work at turning it black and white. I don't know. It just didn't look as good as the other one. And I actually accidentally had punched like 2 holes into Will's head. So all in all, I was like, I need to get rid of that photo. So I just said no, took that picture off. And then I'm just keeping it with the ephemera and the pictures of the Simpsons, and that works out perfectly for me. Of course, the top picture there on my other completed little circle is just of the charcuterie board. So here I'm adding on my red line tape. I added a lot of it on because I don't want this thing to go anywhere. So I'm adding that on. I'm taking, of course, the backing off now, and then I'm going to get both of these into place. And I love the way that this turned out. And I was looking for a solution for having a lot of ephemera or like a lot of photos. So I think that this worked out. Of course, I've seen people do this many times. I've done it in other books, but I'm glad that I just thought of doing something like this for this one because it was a great way to add like multiple photos and to get to put a lot of those ephemera pieces in from the game, which is something that I do enjoy doing. So I'm going to add those on. And then after this, I may put a couple embellishments, but for the most part, we are done. And then we will move on to the final story for this video. So y'all have to let me know, how are you enjoying your October so far? How are things going? I'm really enjoying mine. I've had a busy month. A lot has gone on. I've actually had more going on than have been in this album because I did have a couple birthday parties that I went to last weekend, which I'm going to document in my project life. So you'll see that soon enough, but I'm not documenting it in my October daily just because for me, I know a lot of people just document what happens each individual day, like what happens on the first, what happens on the second, and so on. And I love that. And also a lot of people document all kinds of things that happen in October. They don't necessarily have to be fall or spooky themed. For me, I really like my book to be themed. So I don't always include every single little thing that I'm doing in my book that's not like, that has nothing to do with October or spooky season. Like I always seem to have enough activities and enough things going on to document because this is like my favorite month. And so I pack it full. So anyways, it's just been a busy start to the month for me. And this weekend is about to be crazy busy. So just a lot going on. So here, I did want to add the date to this picture of the dog, the doggy spread. So I grabbed this little like label tab thingy and I added on the date, which was the 4th. And I'm going to kind of tuck it in here by this photo. I was a little like, I wanted to try to tuck it in where I knew that you might be able to see a teeny tiny bit of it poking out on this other side. And you can kind of see it down at the bottom, but it's not much. So I wasn't too worried about it. And then here in one of the ephemera packs, they have these really cute little tabs that already have some little phrases on them. And I was reminded of something that Allie Edwards does quite a bit in like her December daily and things, where maybe she would have a little swivel and then she would add a little tab on the side. And I just always thought that that was really cute. So I decided to kind of use that as inspo, and I added 2 of these little tabs. I added the really thin red line tape to the tab so that it's really stuck on the inner side of the photos or the piece of ephemera. And so now it just has a little bit of an extra embellishments there, which I really like the way that that turned out. So now I'm going to work on my last story. So I'm just pulling this out so that I can get everything into place. So as you can see, it was going to see Casper. So if you guys haven't heard, Casper is being re-released into theaters, which we have Malco theaters, but it's released at our theaters. So that was really exciting. I've seen a lot about it online though, so I'm assuming it is most places. But it's for the 30th anniversary, as you can see there. So I love that they have been adding, I know they did it last year too. Me and my mom went to see Hocus Pocus and The Nightmare Before Christmas, and I was able to find online like a movie poster where they added in the information, like this says The Friendly Ghost returns to theaters, 30th anniversary, the dates that it's going to be there. I love that kind of information. So I was happy to see that. So I printed that off big to go on the other side of my spread. And then I had 2 other little pictures from the day. So I did snap a selfie with my mom while before we went into the theater. And then also I just took a picture of our tickets, because those types of tickets that we have at our theaters now, they seem to really like disintegrate. Like the all of the ink on it will go. You know how receipts are like that now at a lot of places? Like over time, they seem to not last anymore. Like those original paper tickets, movie tickets a long time ago, they would literally last forever. I still have so many that are from like years and years ago, and they have held up wonderfully, but these haven't in the past. So I just prefer to take a picture of them and add them in. So that's exactly what I did. And then I'm using one of these page protectors where they're the little bit smaller, the 4 smaller sections. So these typically, I believe, fit like a business card. So I'm kind of cutting everything down to fit. So I did cut out 4 of the tags, but of course they're a little bit bigger. So I trimmed them down, trimmed my photos down, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm adding my 2 pictures on 2 of the tags. And then the other tags have my journaling. And then I'm going to again add in my stamped title of Casper. So I really like the way that this looks, and I like having the little pockets in there. And then of course, whatever my next story is, I'll just add photos and things to the back of this. So I'll know that I'll need to start with this smaller pocket. But anyway, going to the movies and seeing Casper was so fun. We got popcorn. I brought us chocolate covered pretzels that I had made, and we had such a blast. Now, y'all, I hate to admit this, because y'all know I'm the nostalgia queen, but I don't think I've ever seen Casper, or I don't remember watching Casper. So I don't know if I just don't have a memory of it or if I did not see it. Now, I remembered the 3 bad ghosts back there. Of course, I remember like what Casper looked like in the movie and everything, but I remembered Stretch, Fatso, and Stinky, his 3 like uncles or whoever they are. I remembered them, like I know that there was some sort of like maybe Pizza Hut toy or something like that. Those big, like, I don't know if they're bath toys or they're like those big plastic puppets though. I remember those, or from somewhere. Tell me if y'all remember those. But so I definitely have distinct memories of those ghosts. So I don't know if I just had some sort of piece of memorabilia, but as far as the movie goes, I just really didn't have any recollection of the movie. And I haven't watched it as an adult either. So it was pretty much brand new to me, but it definitely had nostalgic vibes. It was so good. Of course, Christina Ricci's in it, and it was just a really, really good movie. Me and my mom both enjoyed it. I mean, it was funny, and it was sweet, and I really liked it. Also, as a side note, this just happened to, I don't know if they planned this or what, but the new Cool Kids Club episode that comes out on the 10th, my birthday, they are going to be talking about Casper. So if you're into the movie or you want a little bit of Halloween nostalgia, definitely check out my friends Justin and Amy over at the Cool Kids Club. Actually, it's the Ghoul Kids Club for the month, because y'all know I will definitely be tuning in as soon as I can for that birthday episode. I'm so excited about that. But yeah, so they're going to talk about Casper. So I thought, oh, perfect. Now I'm going to know what they're talking about, so that is really fun as well. Also, as a side note, I've been kind of watching a lot of movies this month. I am a little behind. I kind of had high hopes to watch a movie a day in October, and I knew I wouldn't really watch a movie every day, but I was going to try to watch like 31 movies this month. I don't know that I'll get there because I am busy and I do have days where I just can't watch a movie, but some days I've watched a couple movies. I think I've watched, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6, but now we are all the way up to the 9th whenever I'm doing this voiceover. So I don't know, I'm getting behind, but it's been really fun. Mostly just like nostalgic ones, because I am watching a lot of these by myself. So I don't actually want to be scared or anything, but I've watched things like Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, one of my favorite DCOMs. I watched The Craft for the first time the other night, and I really liked that one. So it's been really fun. So I'm glad to have marked Casper off of my list, because that was definitely a movie that I was hoping to get to watch and finally be able to experience. So that was extra fun. So here I was able to use a few of those ghost stickers, and I made my title. I thought I could fit something else on that little card there, so I'm adding a exclamation point, and I'm going to pop that into place, and then probably just add on a few other little embellishments. I do add a little bit of ribbon into all of the tags there, so I'm going to get the last few little things into place, and then we will be done with these stories. So love that I've been able to work in my October daily this week. I think I've mentioned it a couple times, but I was really worried that I would get really behind on October daily this year. And although there's nothing wrong with not documenting in October, there's nothing wrong with documenting this anytime you want, or just taking your pictures and holding onto your stories and doing it whenever you feel like it. And I don't want anyone to feel like I'm saying like, get on it and hustle and you need to get your album done. But for me personally, it's just a personal preference. Making the album and releasing the videos and stuff on my channel is like a part of my October. It's a part of the festivities that I really enjoy. So I'm just really happy that for me, I've been able to work on it, because I love to work on things as they're happening, like within the season. It's just something that gets me so excited and makes me feel all the feels and makes me really feel like I am a part of the season and what's going on. So I love it. So I've just been glad I've been able to make it into the craft room. So I do have high hopes to get another video done over this weekend and just try to keep on track. So anyways, y'all, I hope that you enjoyed this process video. You have to let me know if you are doing an October daily this year. I would love to know. And if you are sharing any videos or photos or anything, please let me know, because I'm always looking for more October daily content on YouTube especially, but also Instagram, anywhere. Or if you have any favorite accounts that you love and want to share, I'm sure any of us would love to hear about them. So these are my pages for today. I'll give you a little flip through of how they are looking. I don't think that I add, I do add one more tiny phrase over here to this Casper full photo. Let's boo this. I thought that was cute. So that's going to be it for today, but I hope that you enjoyed this process video. If you did, please give me a like, and please also consider subscribing. And of course, I will be back at you super soon with more fun October daily videos. Have a great day, friends, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, y'all.